Welcome. I'm going to be going over today finding a really nice stable high plank and moving through this high plank into a really nice downward facing dog and going through this transition of ways to get in and out of high plank and how to get in and out of downward facing dog. We're going to start by placing our hands about shoulder width distance. You want to ground down through both hands and grip the mat with your fingertips. What you really want to make sure you're doing is pressing down through your pointer finger knuckle, through your base knuckle right here with your thumb, and then grounding down through your base knuckle of your pinky finger. So you can think about this as kind of four corners of your hands. You want to press down through the four corners of your hands, grip the mat with your fingertips, and then push the mat away. I like to set up my high plank, and a lot of teachers do, by kind of having this little puffing up through the back of the heart. From here, you can extend your right foot out, maybe your left foot out, bringing your feet either together to touch or hips width distance. From here, you want to push out through the back of your heart, lengthen your tailbone down towards your heel, so a slight tuck of the pelvis. Pull your navel in towards your spine, pulling the pit of the belly in and up, and set your eyes just a little bit in front of your hands. Once you've set up this high plank, you can always drop your knees down or even set it up with your knees down. You can hover your knees, lift them up. A pose a lot of people like to do is knees are kind of hovering above the mat, beast pose. From here, this high plank, you can start to shift your hips up and back, finding a downward facing dog. Setting up our downward facing dog is similar to your high plank, hands about shoulder width distance, feet about hips width distance. I like to bring my feet in closer towards my hands so that when I'm moving from a high plank into a downward facing dog, it doesn't always stay where it's that perfect length. I like my feet a little bit closer in for stability purposes. Big bend into your knees, lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing down through your hands, let your head hang heavy. Shoulders can come up by your ears. Your heels do not have to touch the ground. They can be lifted. You want that tailbone lifting up, and then gently wrap your upper arm bones back so you're pulling the inner eyes of your elbows forward and the backs of your elbows towards the back of the mat. And then you'll push them out away with your hands, send more weight back. Slowly as you start to get warmer, maybe your heels start to lower, but that's up to you. From here, a pose that is often called is three-legged dog. So you'll press down through your left foot and extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. From here, you can keep that micro bend into your left leg. You never really want to lock it out. And then you can open up your right hip, close your right hip, keep pushing the mat away. Maybe you bring your right knee in towards your nose. So you're coming to that high plank pose, puffing up to the back of the heart, pulling your navel in, right knee in towards your nose. You can send it back. Step your right foot down, trying it on the other leg, press down through your right foot, extend your left leg up, micro bend into that right knee, your right heel might be lifted. You can play with opening up your left hip, closing it, and then maybe pushing through your hands and then creating space to draw your left knee in toward your nose. You can step that back for downward facing dog. Another transition is stepping to the front of the mat. So stepping to the front of the mat, you can kind of incorporate all of these elements we've discussed. So pushing the mat away with your hands, that micro bend into your left knee, right leg is lifted for a three-legged dog. You can pull your right knee in towards your nose, puffing up through the back of the heart. From here, you can create that space to maybe step your right foot in between your hands. Oftentimes, it'll come close or might hit the middle of the mat, and you can always take your hand and then step your right foot forward. It doesn't always have to be perfect. Another little trick is opening your hip a little bit more. So bringing your right knee maybe high up into your right tricep, so coming over to the right slightly, and bringing your heel more towards center to step your right foot forward. That gives you that space to play. So looking on the other side, left leg is lifted. You can bring your knee directly in towards your nose, push out. Maybe your foot comes to center. You can take your hand and step it there. Or you can bring your left knee high up onto your left tricep, cluck that left heel in slightly towards center to create that space to step it forward. And then to get out or come back, you'll push the mat away and then bring your left knee back in towards the nose. Maybe step it back to that high plank and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. As always, we don't really want to lock out the joints, keeping a softness, pulling it into the musculature. You can come back to high plank, lower your knees down, and shake it all out. Thank you for joining me for these little quick transitions.